Hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Ian Rogers, and I'm here today to do a quick presentation on supercharging your BIM by unlocking our secret code. So just let me get up my presentation and we'll get going. Right, hopefully you can all see that. As I say, I'm going to talk about supercharging your BIM by unlocking the secret code that we have here in ProSync. So a quick introduction to our code breakers, as we like to call ourselves. As I say, my name's Ian Rogers. I've got a considerable amount of experience in property and real estate. I have experience in construction, facilities management, and structured finance through PPP, PFI type contracts. So I literally have got experience in the whole life cycle and can consider myself to be a whole life cycle guru. I am passionate about changing the industry to a better way of doing things. And in my spare time, when I do manage to find a bit, I like to design theatre lighting for stage shows. My cohorts in ProSync are Chris Mackenzie-Grieve and Andy Hamer, both of which are very experienced and knowledgeable people in their own aspects, and we all bring different skill sets to the whole ProSync experience. And then alongside ProSync, we do have a partnership with Planoly, who are also sponsoring this stage this morning. So thank you, Planoly, for doing that, and thank you for being our partners. Our vision is to fundamentally change how we build and maintain our buildings for the benefit of all. And when I say all, I mean all stakeholders, including the client, the construction team, and the design team, and whoever else needs to be involved. So picture the stressed out client, as they often are. How late are they going to be? Oh my goodness, I'm not going to meet our deadlines. Where has all my budget gone? Oh no, I've got no money left. How am I going to get this complete? Why are there so many quality problems? What is going on with this site, etc.? What will it be like for the users at the end of the day? Have I done the right thing? Have I got the right building for what I need? How do we get into this mess? You can picture the scenario, and I'm sure you've all been through this many times in many different guises, all through your own respective careers with various projects that you've been involved in. So let's look at some statistics. Only 48% of projects arrive on time. If you look at on time and on budget, that's only 8.5% of projects. And if you look at on time, on budget, and all the other benefits of doing this project, only 0.5% of projects tick all the boxes out the box. And this is courtesy of a study done by Bent Flivberg, but it's backed up by a study done by McKinsey & Partners, who are a worldwide management consultancy. I'm sure you've all heard of them. And they come to the conclusion that 98% of projects fail. I mean, that set of statistics is a damning indictment on our industry as it currently sits. And we in ProSync believe that there is a better way of doing things to get rid of a lot of those statistics. When you consider that 80% of the total project costs are time related, and I'm not talking about pure construction costs, I'm talking about the total cost to acquire a building. Only 28% to 30% of the budget or the total cost is the actual construction cost of the product itself. The rest of the 100% of the capital percent is on a whole plethora of other things which are often not fully considered. We always focus on driving down the cost on construction and don't look at the bigger picture of all the other costs that we're incurring. So the secret code, you might wonder, what is this secret code? Well, I'm going to reveal the code now. So it's 5, 4, 1, 3. And what does that mean in reality? So we have 5 principles that we abide by. We have 4 pillars that underpin what we do. We have 1 system, and we have 3 outcomes. So that is our code, and I will dive into this in a bit more detail. So the 5 principles: transparency, that is critical. We must have complete transparency of all parties and all stakeholders throughout the whole process of a project. We must be collaborative, and I mean truly collaborative in how we work together. And I don't mean collaborative within the design team, I mean collaborative in the whole project team, construction, operations, the whole thing. We must be seeking to continuously improve what we do through the project and from project to project. Otherwise, what's the point of trying to do all of this if we're not continuously improving and learning from what we gather from each project? There needs to be extensive knowledge sharing, no more silos, no more working in your own field, in your own area. Everybody has got to know everybody else's data and what have you to do their own respective jobs, whether that be the QS doing cost control, whether that be the planner doing all the programming and scheduling, whether it be the end user client and his facilities manager needing to have all the asset data. We must share that knowledge on a consistent basis so that everybody can use it. And it must be underliven by a data-driven process. And that data-driven process needs to be looked at from the very beginning, and I'll come on to a bit more of that in a minute. So then we have 4 pillars. So the first pillar is the life cycle delivery process. So we are truly looking at a whole life cycle from inception all the way through to demolition, not just operational stage, but all the way through the life cycle of this building. We need to have an integrated digital platform, and I'll discuss a little bit more about that in a minute. We all use this term, common data environment. There is no common data environment. There are many digital platforms, and they all need to be integrated. You take an average architect's design on a BIM model, on a 3D model. If it's a 20-story building, he's probably got 20 different databases, one for each floor, because if he puts it all in one database, it's just going to overload all the systems with so much data. So we need to look at how we integrate everything properly, not just the design, but all parties on the same digital platform. We've got to have people with purpose. They've got to know what they're doing, why they're doing it, and how they mean and integrate into that team, what they mean to that team, and how it all works together. So people know exactly what they're doing, and they have a purpose, and they know what that purpose is, so they can feel as though they're part of a team that is doing a bigger good to society. And then the final pillar is the knowledge and improvement hub, where we gather all the data, which has got to be an independent, total integrated project delivery hub, and where we can start to learn the lessons as we go forward. And as this is a key part, the 4 pillars, I'm going to go through each one of these bits one by one now in a bit more detail. So the delivery stage has got to begin with the end in mind. We've got to take the client through a very detailed journey right at the beginning, before the design team is properly engaged and appointed to do the design. Yes, there may be design consultants involved in this, but it's got to be led by somebody who has got operational experience. And that isn't necessarily the client himself. It's got to be an FM consultant or an operational consultant or somebody who really understands what is going to take place in that building. And we go through a project evaluation stage where we look at the vision, the whys, why we're actually doing this project, because most clients don't fully understand that, and how we progress things all the way through. We've got to look at the project viability. That means looking at a lot of detail. So I have a project initiation document system with 36 different headings, far more than the usual Prince2 HID. And then all that leads into a fully detailed project brief with potentially outline room data sheets at this stage. So we're specifying exactly what the building has to contain and how it has to work. We can then go to funding with confidence because we know what we're talking about. We know that the project is viable. We've done some initial financial modeling and we know where this is all going. And that is all possible on a basis of we've got some data. We can work on a square meter basis to work out what the costs are, including operational costs, which is often forgotten about at this stage. Once the funding's in place, we can appoint the design team properly, and they can go through the concept design and the spatial design, after which I think there should be a complete design freeze. That will allow the design team to work out technical design with complete impunity because they know that there's going to be no major changes going forward. And it's the technical design where all the serious heavy lifting is done in the whole process of the design. Then you go into construction. So the contractors or the trade contractors or whatever method, and we've got ideas on that as well, they can work with complete certainty because they know the design has been well thought through. There shouldn't be many variations, if any at all. Yes, I'm not living in a complete utopia. There may be ground conditions that we haven't found out about despite extensive tests and surveys. There'll always be the odd thing that will throw a curveball into any project. But we've got a handle on how this all deals with, and we've got a process to deal with that quickly, so it won't deal with delays and increased costs without within our contingency zone. And then we've got handover, which should be seamlessly and quick, because the handover, the operational people have been involved in the whole process all the way through, and therefore they know what is going on, they know what's in the design, they know what's gone into the building through the construction process, and they can take that into the operational life. So when it gets to this sort of operational stage, we've got ease of use, we've got a fully user-based design, they're getting exactly what they need, and we have a full set of BIM data. In fact, it's further than BIM. It's everybody's data is there available for the client to do his full asset management. And we're looking at the whole life cycle, which will reduce maintenance costs. We can automate the operations through the Internet of Things. We can reduce carbon to net zero requirements, and we can reduce the overall running costs. So everybody wins. Yes, there's going to be a bit more time and cost up front. Yes, developers are going to get impatient because we're spending a bit more time up front, but that will be more than made up with in terms of reduced costs, reduced time on site versus the traditional statistics that I've already gone through. So if you look at this, it's a different way, it's a paradigm shift as to how we're looking at the process and how we're looking at BIM and everything else and how that all integrates together properly. Then we come to our partnership with Planoly. So we have an integrated digital platform or integrated project platform. So there isn't one single database. There never will be, and there never has been. But we're now integrating this together so all the databases are speaking to each other properly and everybody gets the data out of those systems that they want. So the asset management is done correctly and it's all set up at that very beginning stages. All the data has been specified. So the design team know how they've got to set up the data, the naming conventions and everything else. And we've got this integrated digital platform with Planoly as the backbone and all the other systems integrating together, because you'll never find one system to do it all. We all know that all the different data requirements, all of them have to be dealt with properly. Planoly has a very sophisticated document management system, which makes life very easy to do. All the supply chain can be integrated on that, so we're capturing as-built data as well. And that makes the whole process so much easier and so much better to do. Then we've got to have people with purpose. They've got to have the focus on what they're doing and why they're doing it. So we've got to have a project integration leader that pulls all this together. And that project integration leader, which may be a small team, starts at the very beginning at that project initiation and goes all the way through to the operational stage. So that they've got a consistency of approach right across the process. I mean, you could call it in another frame, a program manager. So they're looking at all the elements of the project all the way through. So we're integrating the supply chain, materials, design partners, the client and the operations team, all in one integrated communication system. And then finally, you've got the knowledge hub, which integrates all of this stuff together and allows us to gather data, analyze that data, and have a continuous improvement process all the way through. So we've got curated data for the project, allowing us to do continuous improvement for the project, but we can anonymize that data and use it from project to project to continuously improve projects as we go forward. So ProSync is building up a database of project data, which we know anything about projects before anybody even gets anywhere near that project. So that is the basis of using our vast experience and knowledge of being in the industry and building the system so we've got a better way of going forward. So that brings me to the third part of the code, which is one system. And surprise, surprise, everything is integrated into one integrated project delivery system. So all the bits, the components I've just talked about is one system. Nothing much else I can say about that, but it is critical that we do have one integrated system. And as a result of that, we come to the final part of the code, three outcomes. And they are better, faster, and for less. And we believe passionately that we can build better for quality, build for people, better for suppliers, better for clients, better for the environment. So everybody wins out of this. We believe it is faster to build overall. It is faster to get your return on investment, which is important for developers. It is faster to get to the use stage, and it is faster for the team to then get to the next project. And we believe it is for less capital, less maintenance, less whole life cycle. So you get more product for your buck. In other words, the 28% goes up to 40 or 50% of the total cost. So the construction is actually getting more money but the whole project is costing less. And that construction getting more money is important because most contractors and subcontractors or specialist contractors are squeezed to the bone when it's only a small part of the overall project. Whereas if they had a greater margin, they deliver a better quality in the first place. So all of these different components come together to produce a new way. Now, our ambitions, yes, they're big, but they are possible. We're going to be taking projects in flight and beyond, all the way through and beyond. We believe you can do this 30% faster. We believe this is 20% less to build. And we believe it is 20% less to run. Yes, those are big, bold statements. And if this is done correctly and followed properly, we believe those are conservative. And we have got data from projects where elements of this are done before to prove this. We believe there's no defects to be carried forward because you've managed it all the way through. We have a unique micropayment system where you're checking quality all the way through before payment is released. Sustainable supply chain all the way through. So yes, these are big ambitions, but that's what we believe. So thank you, ProSync. You have made our lives a breeze by using the right systems and the right processes all the way through, using Planoly as our partner and unlocking the 5413 key of 5 principles, 4 pillars, 1 system, and 3 benefits or three outcomes. So thank you very much for listening. If you want to ask any questions, you can do so. You can get in contact with me on my LinkedIn page, where I'm easy to find, or you can email me or ring me. I'm able to answer further questions personally or to do a more in-depth presentation for a particular project. So thank you very much for being part of this presentation and taking the time to listen to me. I hope you've learned something. I'm now going to end the presentation and I'll see you on the other side.